The sun dipped low over Sacramento's streets, brushing the sky with gold and amber streaks. Marcus Reed was driving home after a grueling day at the office, his sedan purring softly as he adjusted the AC, eager to shed the day's weight. The radio hummed faintly, a quiet counterpoint to the city's pulse. At a yellow light, he slowed, stopping just as it turned red. Then, blue and red lights flared in his rearview mirror, paired with a sharp siren blast. Marcus frowned, glancing back, and pulled over, rolling down his window as a police cruiser parked behind him. Out stepped Officer Nathan Hayes, mid-30s, buzz cut, badge glinting on his chest. Hayes adjusted his belt, striding toward Marcus's car with the swagger of someone used to calling the shots. "License and registration," he said, voice clipped, edged with authority. Marcus nodded, silently retrieving his registration from the glove compartment and handing over his driver's license. His movements were calm, deliberate, but he felt Hayes's eyes boring into him, searching for something to latch onto. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Hayes asked, leaning closer. "I'm not sure," Marcus replied, his tone even. "You didn't fully stop at the light," Hayes said, a slight hesitation betraying his words. Marcus nodded. "I thought I slowed in time, but I understand." Hayes didn't reply, his eyes narrowing as he studied Marcus. This wasn't routine anymore, not for Hayes. His stance shifted, subtle but telling, as if he'd decided this was more than a minor traffic issue. He glanced at the license. "You're not from around here, are you?" Marcus paused briefly. "Moved here a few months ago. My address is on the license." Hayes barely listened, his questions sharpening. "Where were you headed in such a hurry?" "Just going home," Marcus said, steady but aware of the growing tension. Hayes didn't see a driver anymore. He saw a suspect. Marcus sensed it but stayed composed, his calm not naivety but control. This was just the start. Hayes stepped back, folding Marcus's documents with deliberate slowness, tucking them into his pocket. His expression turned smug, as if he'd already judged the man before him. "Step out of the car," he ordered. Marcus's grip tightened on the steering wheel, but his face remained neutral. "Is there a specific reason, officer?" Hayes's lips twitched. "I asked you to step out. Don't make this harder than it needs to be." The threat lingered, unspoken but clear. Marcus exhaled, opened the door, and stepped out. Taller than Hayes, broad-shouldered in a tailored suit, his polished shoes spoke of care, but none of it mattered to the officer. "Hands where I can see them," Hayes said, gesturing to the car's front. Marcus complied, calm. "Is there something specific you're looking for?" Hayes smirked. "Just routine. We've had incidents around here. Can't be too careful." Marcus turned slightly, meeting Hayes's gaze. "Incidents involving men in suits driving sedans, or something else?" The question hit like a dart. Hayes's composure flickered, his hand drifting to his belt. "Watch your tone," he snapped. "I'm just asking," Marcus said, his voice firm but not defiant. Hayes leaned closer. "You seem awfully familiar with how this works. Got something to hide?" Marcus let the silence hang. "No, officer. I believe in clarity about why interactions like this happen. Transparency, you know." Hayes scoffed, pacing a small circle. Marcus's poise calm, unshaken, was unsettling him. "You seem pretty confident," Hayes muttered, "like you know what's next." Marcus didn't bite, tilting his head. "Confidence isn't the issue, officer. Respect is." Hayes froze, then turned, his smirk gone, replaced by defensiveness. He opened his mouth, but no words came. The power was shifting, and Hayes didn't like it. He was about to double down, and the real test was coming. Hayes tapped his holster, frustration seeping through. He wasn't used to being challenged, especially not by someone like Marcus. His gaze flicked to the sedan, as if hunting for an excuse. "Turn around, hands on the hood," he said, voice tight. "I need to check for weapons." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Weapons? Do I look like I'm carrying?" Hayes's jaw clenched. "I'm not asking again." Marcus paused, a fleeting shadow crossing his face, then turned, placing his palms on the hood. Hayes patted him down, his movements rough, lingering, more about control than safety. Marcus didn't react, didn't tense. "You're clean," Hayes grumbled, stepping back, annoyed he'd found nothing. "Of course I am," Marcus said, turning to face him, eyes sharp. "Now, officer, if you're done, I'm not done," Hayes cut in, his voice rising. betraying his need to dominate. You know a lot about what I can't do. Care to explain why? Marcus folded his arms, relaxed despite the crackling tension. I've had my share of law enforcement encounters. Let's say I've learned. Hayes's eyes narrowed. What? You a lawyer or something? Marcus smiled faintly. Or something. The vagueness irked Hayes, who stepped closer, voice low. You think you're smarter than me? Think you can talk your way out? Marcus met his stare. I don't think anything, officer. I believe in fairness, and I'm not seeing much of it here. The words were a challenge, and Hayes took it. Fairness? You think fairness is what this is about? People like you always, he stopped, the words hanging like smoke. Marcus's expression didn't shift, but his posture did, signaling he'd caught the slip. People like me, he repeated, voice soft but loaded. Hayes bristled, stepping back, realizing he'd crossed a line. You know what I mean, he muttered, less sure. I think I do, Marcus said, his calm now a blade cutting through pretense. And we both know this stopped being about a traffic violation a long time ago. Hayes opened his mouth, but doubt crept in. He was on unsteady ground, and the reckoning was near. Marcus's voice cut through the silence, firm and unwavering. Officer, it's time you know who I am. Hayes's irritation flared. I don't care who you are, he snapped, but his voice cracked. Marcus reached into his pocket, slow and deliberate. I'm reaching for my badge, he said, noting Hayes's twitch toward his holster. No need for drama. I want you to see it. Hayes's eyes followed as Marcus pulled out a leather wallet, flipping it open to reveal a gleaming badge. Marcus Reed, he said, casual as if greeting a colleague. Head of Internal Affairs, Sacramento Division. Hayes froze, his gaze darting from the badge to Marcus's face, searching for a bluff. But Marcus's expression held only quiet authority and a trace of disappointment. Internal Affairs, Hayes repeated, voice faltering. Yes, Marcus said, cutting him off. I oversee officer conduct. My job is ensuring those wearing this badge uphold its integrity and values. Hayes's confidence unraveled, his hand dropping from his belt as if it burned. Marcus stepped forward. The most troubling part of this, Officer Hayes, isn't the profiling, though that's bad enough. It's not the baseless escalation. It's that you did this without knowing who I was, assuming I wouldn't know my rights or the laws you're sworn to uphold. What? Hayes's mouth opened, but no sound came. Marcus's gaze was unrelenting. Because I didn't fit your idea of someone deserving respect. That's not just my problem, it's a problem for everyone you meet in that uniform. Hayes's shoulders slumped, the weight of Marcus's words crushing. Marcus stepped back, his voice sharp. Here's what happens now. You return my documents and think hard about what you say next. Hayes hesitated, debating resistance, but the pause cost him. Marcus's voice lowered. You'll hear from me again, not as a driver, but as the man deciding if you're fit to wear that badge. Hayes swallowed, face flushed, and pulled Marcus's license and registration from his pocket, hands shaking as he handed them over. Marcus took them, tucking them away, and moved to his car, pausing at the door. Remember, Officer Hayes, he said, meeting his gaze, the badge doesn't make you better than anyone. It makes you accountable to everyone. As Marcus drove off, Hayes stood in the fading light, his certainty shattered, his future uncertain. For Marcus, this was far from over. The drive home was quiet, but his mind raced. The stop wasn't Unaquite was one of many. Hayes wasn't the first officer to cross him, and he wouldn't be the last. But this time, Marcus had the power to act. The next morning, Marcus sat at his desk in the Sacramento Police Department's Internal Affairs Division, sunlight filtering through the blinds. A file lay open, Officer Nathan Hayes. His record showed minor complaints, unprofessional conduct, vague misunderstandings never fully addressed. Marcus leaned back, fingers steepled, thinking beyond Hayes to the culture that enabled him. A knock interrupted. His assistant, Carla, entered with reports. Morning, Mr. Reed. Last month's misconduct summaries, and Chief Thompson wants a reminder about next week's review. Marcus nodded. Thanks, Carla. Schedule a meeting with Thompson this afternoon. I need to discuss something. Carla paused, sensing his tone, then nodded and left. Marcus returned to Hayes's file, but his focus was broader. Hayes was a symptom, not the disease. Later, in a conference room, Marcus faced Chief Thompson, a grizzled veteran with a no-nonsense air. Marcus recounted the stop, voice steady. I could have brushed it off, but that'd be a mistake. Hayes's behavior isn't isolated, it reflects how much work we have left. Thompson sighed. Hayes has come up before, but we've handled it quietly. That's the problem, Marcus said. Quiet doesn't fix it. It lets it fester. We need to be loud. Thompson leaned forward. What's your plan? A department-wide review, Marcus said. Training, protocols, accountability. No more sweeping this under the rug. Thompson's face showed the weight. You'll stir things up. Good, Marcus said. It's overdue. The next weeks were intense meetings, interviews, reports. Marcus compiled data, met officers, and held community forums. The Hayes incident sparked a reckoning, forcing the department to face its flaws. Hayes faced a hearing, Marcus present, watching him squirm. The suspension was a start, but Marcus aimed higher, preventing the next Hayes. Months later, at a community event, Marcus spoke to officers, officials, and residents, not of blame but duty. Justice isn't just catching bad guys, he said. It's ensuring those sworn to protect serve with integrity, fairness, and respect. That's the badge we're building. The applause roared, but Marcus didn't linger. Change wasn't instant, but it was coming. For now, that was enough. If this story hit home, share it. Let's spark the conversations that drive change. Subscribe for more stories that challenge, inspire, and remind us what's possible when we stand for what's right.